Hello everyone, I welcome you in the virtual classroom of business environment. We are discussing unit number 5, international institutions. In that we have already completed the first institute, that is IMF, and we have seen the introduction to the World Bank. And in today's lecture we are going to see the achievement and failure of World Bank. Let us see achievements in detail. The first one is general progress. The bank's membership has increased from initial number of 30 countries to 68 countries in 1960 and 251 countries in 1988. As we have discussed in the history of IMF, that the history of IMF and World Bank is same only. At the end of Bretton Woods conference, there was two institutes which were established. One is IMF and second is the World Bank. So both history is same only. At that time we have discussed that 30 countries were there who has participated in the Bretton Woods conference. So the initial members are only 30, which increased to 68 members, and then further it increased to 151 countries. The subscribed capital has increased from the initial amount of $10,000 million. In capital resources, we have seen that the subscribed capital of World Bank is $10,000 million, which increased to $19,300 million in 1960s, and further it increased to $91,436 million in 1988. This increased capital has led to expansion of banks' lending capacity. It is not only the figure that the authorized capital of World Bank is increased. If the capital is increased, it implies that the World Bank's lending capacity is increased, which means now World Bank can give more loan to the member countries. Then in 1960, the bank approved loan worth $659 million, which went up to $14,762 million in 1988. Not only that capital is increased, but also the loanable fund is increased from 659 million to $14,762 million. Then the second achievement is about lending operations. Till June 1988, the IBRD has granted loans worth $1,55,049 million. The absolute figure is given here, that is about $1,55,049 million is given as loan to the member countries. Out of this loan, there is a division that for which purpose how much loan is given. So here it is written like 22% for the banks, 22% is for energy, 21% is for agriculture and rural development, 18% is for transportation and communication, and 10% is for industry and small scale enterprise. So this is the division that what is the proportion for each purpose that bank has given loan to the member countries. Then loans for reconstruction. In the initial years of its establishment, the World Bank's loans were mainly directed to the European countries whose economies were shattered during the World War II for financing their programs of reconstruction. As we have seen in the history that why Bretton Woods conference was held. After Second World War, the world has seen destruction. Only devastated countries were there where the World War II was played. Everywhere destructions were there, and to come out of that destruction it takes a lot of time. And after the completion of World War, there was no trust relation between the countries. World trade was not there. Every economy was moving towards a closed economy, and in that situation, to come out of that wartime economy to peacetime economy, the World Bank has World Bank was established to give loans to develop economy. And definitely the Second World War was played in the European countries, so European countries has faced the much destruction, and due to that reason the first and foremost primary motive of World Bank is to finance the reconstruction program of European countries. The bank has provided the loan worth about $500 million for the reconstruction purpose. You just today see the economic position of European countries. They are considered as a first world country, means they are the developed countries. From this stage where the Second World War was played, so many people was killed. The economy has faced a very recessionary situation, and after certain years, today they are in this situation just because of the loan given by this World Bank. Then, traditional development loans policy. The traditional development loan policy of the bank has been to help the member nations to strengthen the foundation of their economies for rapid economic development. Therefore, the major portion of the bank's assistance has gone to finance the infrastructure of borrowing countries. The traditional approach, the when the World Bank was established at that time, they have aimed to give the loan for the infrastructural development only. The traditional policy aim towards development of infrastructure only. Why infrastructure? Because infrastructure is considered as a basic facilities. If the infrastructure of any country is sound, then on that basis a country can develop. Further help is not in need. Why? Because the infrastructure is sound. So that is why World Bank has decided that we will give loan first for the infrastructure development only. Then new loan strategy. Recently, the bank's adoption of the new strategy of development with justice has led to following changes in the sectoral finance. The amount of agricultural loan has increased more rapidly than in any other sector. You know that as we have seen that the first and foremost aim of World Bank was to give loan for the infrastructural development only, but as the time passes and they see that because of our loan European countries has developed to a great extent, now they are not in need of our loan, so they have shifted their focus from European countries to underdeveloped countries. They have shifted their focus from to give loan only for agricultural purpose to other purpose. So what are that purpose? Let us see. The bank now also takes interest in the activities of development of rural areas. Earlier, they were giving loan only for the agricultural purpose, but now they are also taking interest in the rural development. And for rural development, they are giving different kinds of loan for spread of education among the rural people, and development of the feeder roads in the rural areas, and electrification of the villages. Now that by these three projects they think that the rural area can be developed to a very good extent. So that is why they are having this three project under which they are giving loan for the rural development. Then the main features of the bank's assistance to the industrial sector are considerable increase in the direct lending to the industries, particularly to the public sector industries. World Bank is giving loan, and we have also seen that they are also playing the role of guarantor for the private loan as well. So when World Bank is giving loan to the private investment, they will give loan for the public sector industries. Then more emphasis on the heavy industries. If public sector are in the business like mining, steel, fertilizers, pulp and paper, then World Bank is in interest to give loan. Then greater attention to fertilizers project for agriculture industrial development. Moreover, they are also giving loan for the fertilizer project. Why? Because on the basis of development of fertilizer industry, the agriculture can be developed. Then greater emphasis on labor intensive small scale industries and primary export oriented industries. They are also giving loan to the private investment, private sectors as well, and that too only to export oriented industries. And if they are small scale, and that too if they are labor oriented, then World Bank will give them loan. Why? Because they will solve the unemployment problem. Then support for development finance companies. If World Bank is only there to give loan, then everyone will be dependent on World Bank. So what they are doing, that they are helping for the developing the finance companies, so that these finance companies can also give loan to the different areas, so the burden of World Bank can be lessened, and even the borrower can have so many options for taking loan. So this is all about the achievement of the World Bank. Now let us see the failure of the World Bank. The first one is higher cost. It is said that when we are taking loan, let us take an example of at individual level. When we are taking loan, we need to prepare so many papers to submit to the bank. And sometimes the paper for preparation of the papers we need to take the help of lawyers, and so for taking loan only, and borrower has to incur certain kind of expenses. The same case happens with the World Bank. When any member country is going to take loan from the World Bank, they need to do so many preliminary activities behind which the cost is incurred. That is the first kind of cost that a member country is incurring. Second cost is when we are taking loan, the World Bank is not giving loan that is free of cost. Not only free of cost, but even the interest rates are not less, they are the higher one. If we are saying that World Bank is established for helping the member countries for developing their economy, then at least they are having the helping motive in the mind. But when we are looking at the interest rate, we feel that they are not helping, rather they are doing business, because the rate of interest is that much high that it is not affordable to the developed countries and underdeveloped countries. So this is the second kind of cost which a member country is incurring. If we combine both of the costs, then ultimately it results a expensive affair for a developing country and underdeveloped countries, and that is why the heading is given here, that is a higher cost. Let us read what is written here. It is said that the cost of World Bank loans is much higher for developing and underdeveloped countries than other financial resources. The rate of interest charged by the World Bank creates heavy burden on borrowing countries. As I have told earlier, that the rate of interest charged by the World Bank is very high, which creates heavy burden on the borrowing countries. Not only that, but the borrowing countries have to pay annual commitment charges. Annual commitment charges, that we need to pay interest plus annual commitment charges, that we will pay your loan back, one kind of guarantee charge we can say it, on given loan balance, and a front end charge on new loan. And if we are taking any new loan, then we need to pay front end charge more to the loan. So this all creates higher cost for the borrowing country. Then the second limitation is no entire help. No entire help means the whatever the need of member countries are there, the total need cannot be satisfied by the World Bank. Maybe World Bank is not having that much resources to satisfy the need of the member countries, and that is why we are saying that it doesn't provide entire help. Let us read what is written here. On the other hand, the bank is not in a position to completely satisfy the financial requirement of the borrowing countries. It can provide only a small part of requirement which does not satisfy the developing countries. As I told earlier, that the total requirement is not financed by the World Bank. They provide only small part of their developing needs. Whatever amount is necessary for economic and social development, the bank fails to provide entire help. So, for example, if any member country's need is to have loan for 1 lakh crore, then in that case a bank can provide loan only for the 1 crore, or sometimes they we can say 1 lakh only. So that much less amount is there as compared to the need. Then hard conditions. Before granting the loans, the bank imposes very hard condition for repayment of loans, which becomes a great burden on borrowing countries. Sometimes the conditions are so complicated beyond the repaying capacity of a borrowing countries. The bank should adopt soft loan system for developing countries at initial stage, and thereafter the success of the project it can change the regular rate of interest. Moreover, the condition for providing loan are also mild at primary stage of developing countries. Take an example of individual level, that when we are going to take loan from the bank also imposes certain conditions, that what should be the regular rate of profit, and out of profit how much we can withdraw, how much we need to reinvest in a bank, and the like. The same kind of situation, same kind of conditions are also imposed by the World Bank to the member countries. Suppose we are taking loan for the road development policies, then it is not only the money, it is not only the amount that a World Bank is giving, but with that amount they are also imposing certain kinds of conditions which influence our internal policy making decisions. On the basis of roads loan, they are also interfering in the transportation policies as well. So in the governmental affairs also they are interfering. So sometimes the conditions are that much hard that it is that, like, it is compulsory for the member country to repay the loan. Now, as we have to discussed earlier, that the World Bank's motive is to provide help, and if you are providing help, then you should not force the member countries to repay the loan. As if we compare IMF with the World Bank, then IMF's loan is soft as compared to World Bank. The World Bank's loan is hard loan. They are imposing hard conditions, as we have seen earlier, that the interest rates are higher. We need to pay the commitment charges, and we need to pay the front end charges. So this is not a loan. This is not a help that a World Bank is providing. Rather, they are doing business with the developing countries. And now let us see this situation from the approach of the developing countries, that developing countries are weaker in sense of economy, in sense of monetary aspects. So instead of helping them, you are exploiting by charging higher interest rate from a developing country. So this behavior of a World Bank is not good. Then the next limitation is narrow loans. Whatever loans are provided by the World Bank, they are for particular projects instead of general development motive. It means the loan of World Bank are narrow loans or narrow aids. We are saying that the World Bank's motive is to develop the economy, is to develop the infrastructure. So if World Bank is giving loan, then we should give the name of infrastructure loan. Rather, they are giving the loan for a specific purpose. Say for example, in infrastructure so many components are there, like electrification is there, building dams and bridges are there, building roads are there, education is there. So World Bank is not giving loan for developing infrastructure. They will give loan for education, loan for electrification, loan for road development, and the like. So when you are giving loan for a specific purpose, it imposes a boundary that the money should be used only for that purpose only, and that creates the loan very much narrower one. Then the next limitation is partiality. As we have seen earlier, that the primary motive of World Bank is to give loan to those countries where the World War II was played, and it was the European countries only. And if we see the today's situation of the European countries, then they are quite developed. So what we can come to in conclusion that yes, World Bank has helped European countries, but they have helped to an extent that they have done partiality with the rest of the world. No doubt European countries very need of help, but that much help was not needed, that World Bank has ignored the rest of the world. African countries are there who are underdeveloped, Asian countries are there who can be termed as a developing countries, but World Bank has just focused on developing the European countries, and that the devastated countries today become the developed countries, and that underdeveloped country after Second World War are still underdeveloped in this 21st century. Those who were developing countries are still developing country in this 21st century. So we can say that World Bank has helped only European countries. They have done partiality with the rest of the world. Then over control. Here, one more element is found in working of the World Bank. It is that the bank imposes much more control on the execution of the projects for which the loans are provided. This may create unnecessary disturbance in the internal economic policies of the borrowing countries. It will create the struggle as it is between the lenders and borrowers. What is highlighted here that it creates struggle between like lenders and borrowers. No doubt World Bank is lender and a member country is borrower, but the relation between World Bank and member country is not a business relationship. There should not be any kind of struggle. The motive of World Bank is to help, not to earn from a member countries. When they are giving loan, they will supervise that where the money is going, how the money is efficiently utilized or not. As we have seen that World Bank is also imparting training to the member countries government officials. Not only they are imparting their training, but when they are giving loan, the staff of the World Bank will come to that country. They will reside in that country till the time project will get over. And in the name of supervision, they are not only supervising the work, but they are also interfering that how a project should be executed. So sometimes it looks like they are overly controlling the member countries by providing them loan. Here, the objective of bank is greater welfare for greater number will destroy, and all the activities of World Bank will go in vain. When you are giving loan in the name of help, but when you are overly controlling, your help becomes a burden for a member country. So objective is itself is not satisfied, and all the activities, all the efforts of World Bank for developing the world trade will go in vain. So, this is all about the achievement and failure of World Bank. By that way, we are completing two institutions of fifth unit, that is international institution. We have completed IMF and we have also completed the World Bank. And let us start now World Trade Organization, the third institute from the fifth unit. World Trade Organization is a permanent organization comprising of various nations of the world. It regulates and manages the international trade of goods and services. World Trade Organization, the name itself suggests, is the motive of World Trade Organization is for the promotion of world trade only. World Trade Organization was established after the 8 meetings done by the member countries. In the initial period, we can say the period of 1947, from 1947 till till 20 years, different meetings were held in different nations, and the last meeting was held in Uruguay. After that meeting, they come to a conclusion that we must have a permanent organization. Earlier when meeting were done, they were done under the head of GATT, GATT. GATT simply means General Agreement for Trade and Tariff. Under GATT, the member countries are doing meetings, they are getting together, they are discussing various policies, and they help each other for developing their internal policies, intergovernmental policies, so that world trade can be developed. But after doing meetings, they come to a conclusion that meeting is an informal way. It doesn't give any physical form of organization. So instead of doing this meeting, we should have a systematic structure who can supervise the world trade. And after that discussion, they gave birth to the World Trade Organization. So we can say that GATT is a predecessor. GATT is the structure which was earlier done before WTO, and WTO is a successor. Its headquarters is situated in Geneva in Switzerland. It is the embodiment of Uruguay round results and successor of GATT. As I told you earlier that the member countries has done 8 meetings under GATT, and the last meeting was in Uruguay. And after the end of that meeting in Uruguay, they have given the birth to the WTO. That is why it is written here that it is a successor of GATT. It has 146 member countries. India is a member of GATT and WTO from the time of inception. India is not only the member of WTO, but when the meetings were there, right from the starting from 1947, GATT has done 8 rounds of meeting. So in 8 round, India was the basic member. From the first round, India is a member of GATT. Each member of WTO has to sign 28 agreements that had been made as a result of Uruguay round. When WTO was established, at that time member countries need to sign the 28 agreements. Out of 28 agreements, 25 are related to goods and services. How we can facilitate the world trade doing providing goods and services. The first Director General of WTO was Peter Sutherland. Then it is a democratic organization in which every member nation has a right to vote. In IMF and in World Bank, we have seen that every member is casting a vote on the basis of their share capital, on the basis of their quota. So that makes an organization a dominant organization. Those who are rich, who are having more share capital, they will cast more vote, and those countries who are poor, they will cast less vote. But in case of WTO, every member country has only one right to vote, means every country's right to vote is one. So that makes this organization democratic. Decisions are taken by consent of members. However, wealthy nations are still dominating. Somehow, the wealthy nations are there, USA, France, Japan, who are still dominating in the working of WTO, though every member has a right to cast one vote. It is caused by the lack of cooperation and coordination among developing countries. Why the wealthy nations are still dominating? Because the underdeveloped countries and the developing countries are not that much coordinated, and they don't have that much cooperation. Due to that reasons, the rich countries are still dominating in WTO. Now let us see what are the objectives of WTO. To remove restrictions in trade among the different countries. When we have started this fifth unit, international institutions, I told you that these all institutes are established after Second World War, when the world trade was having no hope, when world trade was squeezed. So just to restart the world trade, this whole institution came into existence. And due to that reason, the WTO is also having that objective, that to remove restriction in the trade among different countries, so that world trade can be started again. To remove all type of protective policies in foreign trade. Protective policy simply means the adoption of closed economy. closed economy means we will not have any kind of relation, any kind of import export relation with the other countries. We are closed. Why? Because we want to protect domestic industries. In the name of protecting domestic industries, many government has decided to cut the import export relation with the other countries. So that closed economy, in other word known as protective policy. Then, to remove discriminatory policy in trade relation of various countries. You know that many countries are doing trade relations just because they want to say that they have adopted globalization, they are doing world trade, but they have adopted partial globalization by doing partiality with the other countries. Say for example, if they are having very good neighbors and they are having good relation with their neighbors, then they will give first chance to their neighbor countries for import export. They will not impose any kind of import duty from the goods imported from their neighbors. They will have bilateral agreement with the neighbor countries so that their relation can be developed well. And on the other hand, if the other countries who are not in their neighborhood and they want to import in that country, the country will charge higher import duty. Say for example, that England and France both are European countries, both are in neighborhood. If they want to have an partiality with the other countries, then what England and France will do, they will enter in a bilateral agreement that we will do import and export in with our country only. That England will give chance to France to do an export. So France export will become the import of England. In the return, France will also give chance to England to do export, and England's export will become the import of France. So this is known as a bilateral agreement. And if France and England is importing the goods from their country, then they will not charge any kind of import duties. Now take an example that suppose India want to export in England, then England will charge import duties on Indian product because they want to have a partial relation discriminatory policy with France. Then, to make efforts to expand the transfer of goods, service and capital at global level, simply to make effort to increase the globalization. Then, to make trade practices transparent, many countries who are uh, not democratic, social, who has follows the socialism like Russia and China is there, their economy are so much non-transparent that whatever is going within cannot be known to the world. But in the scenario of globalization, that non-transparent economy is not good for a world economy. So WTO is trying to make every economy transparent. To adopt progressive liberal policy of trade so that world trade can be increased. Then, to expand and develop money market at the global level through information technology, to expand production, to optimize the use of the resources of the world, and to achieve sustainable development. These are the objectives of WTO. Now let us see the structure, organizational structure of WTO. Not organizational structure, but we can say that what are the agreements that a member need to sign to be the member of WTO. At the end of our Uruguay round, following things have been included in the structure of the functioning of WTO, that are trade goods, trade of services, TRIPS means trade related investment property rights, and trade related intellectual property rights, then TRIMS, trade related investment measures, then dumping and agreement against dumping policy, and creation of system to settle disputes. Means if any country is doing the world trade, if they are having import export relation, and in between if they are having any kind of misunderstanding or disputes in the agreement, in the contract, then in the world court they can go and they can settle their issues, but WTO is also having their settlement dispute settlement committee over where you can go and settle your disputes. Then WTO means simply where the WTO has done meetings in the world or in the organizational structure of WTO. Two authorities are there. The first one is ministerial conference, which is considered as a highest authority of WTO, and below that there is a general council who will handle the day-to-day work of WTO. Ministerial conference is consisting of the representative of all the members. So definitely they cannot meet every day. They will meet once in every 2 or 3 years. The day-to-day work is given and trusted to the General Council. The first meeting of the ministerial conference was held in Singapore in 1996. The second meeting was held in Geneva in 1998 after 2 years. Then, after 1 year, the third meeting was held in Seattle in 1999. And after 2 years, the fourth meeting was held in Doha in 2001. And again, after 2 years, the fifth meeting was held in Cancun in 2003. Then, WTO has emerged as a powerful organization in comparison to IMF and World Bank in the present century. If we compare the working of IMF, World Bank and WTO, then WTO is more popular as compared to IMF and World Bank. Its system is quite democratic and each country has only one vote that makes it more democratic and non-partisaned. As we have seen in the IMF and World Bank that both has done partiality with the rest of the world. They are favoring the European countries, and due to the favor of IMF and World Bank, today European countries are developed countries. But WTO has not done that partiality with the member countries. Why? Because every country is having only one vote to cast. It has a wider scope of work. In WTO, trade of goods, services, intellectual property right, and investment related agreements are included. This all we have seen in the structure of WTO. Trade of goods, trade of services, intellectual property rights, that is TRIPS, and investment related agreements, that is TRIMS, are included in the WTO. Its rules are applicable to goods, services, and intellectual properties. Whatever the rules of WTO are there, they are only for the goods, services, and intellectual property rights. Its dispute settlement procedure is also faster and more efficient, and because of that reason, the motive of World Bank is to develop, WTO is to develop the world trade, and for smoothening and for the efficiency of world trade, they have included one machinery, one institute that we term it as a dispute settlement committee. And due to that reason, now if two countries are having dispute, it will be solved faster. It affects not only economic matters of a country but also political, social, and cultural matters of a country. That means WTO is also interfering in the political, social, and cultural matters of the country, and that is the reason why it has become controversial too. Because the motive of WTO is the expansion of world trade, then why they are interfering in the political, social, and cultural matters? So that is the topic that makes it controversial. In India also there has been a strong protest against it. Even some of the members, one part of population is opposing the working of WTO. However, if the globalization is to be made result oriented, the membership of WTO is inevitable. If any of the country of the world has adopted globalization, then for them to be the member of WTO is like compulsory, because without member of WTO you cannot have that much access of world market. The member countries of WTO, just because they are member of WTO, they have forcefully give chance to the member countries to open their market and allow other countries to do business in their country. So if we have adopted globalization, if we want to do export, we have to be the member of WTO. There is no option out. This is all about the introductory part of WTO. We are keeping our lecture here. From next lecture, we will see the impact of WTO on Indian economy and the last institute, that is European Union. Till the time, have a great day.